Hello guys, I am Cello Emerson and we start now another video from the Metal Musicast channel. We begin this series of videos about the new wave of British heavy metal, which will be published this month of September. Then subscribe on the channel to follow it, okay? And today I'm gonna talk to a legend of new wave of British heavy metal. I'm talking about Mr. John Gallagher. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very good, Charlotte. Good to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation. Thank you so much.
See
You're a
that?
great you're a
20
great
bucks.
guy.
20 bucks will get you anywhere. There you
I will send to you in in
go.
in in Brazilian money, okay? In reais, okay?
Real money. Aha.
Reals. uh, John, let's start talking about the very first days of Raven. When the band started, did you imagine that it would have that longevity and would be part of a musical movement?
No, you could never think that from the way we began. Uh, we formed the band in 1974 when we were kids. We pretty much didn't know how to play. We didn't have instruments. We didn't have anything. We had one acoustic guitar that me and my brother were sharing. Uh, so we just loved the music. We just loved rock and roll. I mean, at the time, our favorite bands were Status Quo and Slade and the Sweets and the stuff we saw on TV. Then we started hearing Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Montrose, Budgie, blah, blah, blah. And we tried to see every band when they came into town. And we learned from that. But no, it's mind blowing to me to look back and say, yeah, you formed the band. Was it 47 years ago? That's doesn't make any sense, does it?
Okay. And what
And
about
yet, here we are, large as life and twice as cheerful.
and what about Judas Priest? It
Judas
was a
Priest,
great
absolutely.
influence.
I read a review in a paper of Sad Wings of Destiny, and it was a very long review, and the guy loved the band and loved the record, and it sounded so good. I've got to buy this. And I bought the record, fell in love with it, told everyone at school, these guys are brilliant. You've got to hear this band, Judas Priest. They're great, they're great. And we finally got to see them in 1977 on the Sin After Sin tour. And they were amazing. They were absolutely amazing. And I'd seen them every tour up until we started touring around about 1980. And we saw them in America in 1985, I believe, on the Defenders tour. And then we were lucky enough to open for them on like 6 shows of the Turbo tour in 1986. And they were so good to us. It's great when you meet your heroes and they're good people. And Judas Priest were great. They were very friendly. And it was just like, do do your thing. Full sound, full lights. Just don't destroy any of our equipment, please.
Great to hear it. And John, do you think you created a subgenre for heavy metal, speed metal? Are you the creator of the speedy metal?
No, I think this genre thing it's a load of rubbish. I hate it. I hate being put into a little box, you know.
Okay.
The only box we're in is our own music. We play Raven music, you know. Does it take from it? It took from a lot of bands beforehand. Like I mentioned, all the bands before, and many other bands. You know, the prog bands. You know, yes, Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. All that. I love that music and little bits of it squeaking here and there. AC/DC. Love them. There's so many bands. Rory Gallagher. We saw many times. We would just liked music that was exciting. Quite often was the faster stuff, uh, and if it had parts, if it had musical worth, It wasn't just, one note all the way through. And melody, and we appreciated songwriting, and the whole it all seeped in, and we mashed it all together and ended up coming up with our thing. But as far as did Raven invent speed metal, well, I think that's silly. There was bands playing fast songs before us. Uh, you could say like Fireball by Deep Purple is one of the first speed metal songs because it's double kick all the way through.
Yeah.
Who knows? There's Parchment Farm by Cactus with Carmine Appice with double kick. Who knows? It's
Great.
people hear it and they build on it and build on it and change it, and eventually you've got something different.
Okay. And but what about the label New Wave of British Heavy Metal? Do you like this kind of title, this kind of movement, New Wave of British
I
Heavy
think
Metal?
it's more of an era than a movement. You see, if you listen to all the bands, especially the first bands that came out, you had what Iron Maiden and Samson and Angel Witch and Raven and Fist and Venom and Diamond Head, and
Yeah.
they were all totally different from each other. They
Yeah.
all had their own thing, and they were all great in their own. You know, uh,
Yeah.
all those bands were really cool. They had some great new ideas, and none of them were the same. So it's more of a, it just happened to be there was a lot of young kids in England, especially, playing rock music. And all of a sudden, somebody in the press went, wow, look, it's the new wave of British heavy metal. And, it kind of, there was a bunch of other young kids going, wow, I like what they're doing. We could maybe do that too. And they ended up, making bands and doing stuff, and it kind of ran its course probably by 1983, 1984, and people started playing more, I guess, moving into more of a thrash thing, and it was the impetus was coming from America at that point. The Americans had heard the new wave of British heavy metal, and they turned it into something else, which is
Yeah.
the way it goes. The torch gets passed, and someone takes it further down the line.
Yeah, under this sign, new wave of British heavy metal, there was a wide variety of musical approaches, as you said, uh, from Def Leppard, more a hard rock band, to Venom with black metal. It's so different. Yeah,
Yeah,
I spoke
but you
to
listen
yeah
to Venom and it's like, yeah, well, they got a lot from Motorhead and they got a lot from Blue Cheer and they got a
yeah
lot from the Pink Fairies and stuff like that, and they just turned it up and made it dirtier. But all these approaches were all very valid and very interesting and created some great music, definitely.
yeah. I spoke to Brian Ross of Blitzkrieg last week, and he said the new wave of British heavy metal is not just a musical movement; it's about people. Uh, what was the relationship among the bands?
Uh, it was okay. I think there's a lot more camaraderie and friendship now because everyone's been through hell and came through on the other side. We're all survivors and what have you at this point. But back then, I mean, as ever, we treated people as we found them. The guys from Angel Witch were super friendly, especially Kevin, who was great, and those guys, both Kevins actually, Kevin Riddles and Hayborn. Uh, Iron Maiden, the guys were very friendly. So we got on pretty much with all the bands we played with. Um, Apart from there was one time we played in London where the manager of a band called Terraplane pulled the power on us because we were going down too good. And those kind of dirty tricks, it didn't happen very often, but it
Eh,
happened that one night. And it kind of gets you upset because you traveled 7 or 8 hours to get to a show to play for 15 minutes to turn around and drive back home again.
And you mentioned Iron Maiden, and I spoke to Gary Pepper from the Jaguar band. He's a great guy. Gary Pepper is a great guy, and he said that he had already seen that Iron Maiden had great riffs and seemed to be a little above the others. Did you realize that Iron Maiden would become the hugest band of this British heavy metal?
No, not at all. They initially were. I liked a lot of the stuff they did. They were very kind of punky, the first two albums. And then it got a little, it changed when Bruce came in, which he had to. And I knew what was going on. So they obviously made the right move. Uh, and again, Iron Maiden, it's like they're not a heavy metal band. They're Iron Maiden. They have very distinctive sound, very distinctive style, and they do their own thing, and they're excellent at it. No, you heard them, you just thought they were a great rock band. That's it.
Okay, and talking about the Raven, back to Raven, I think that Raven never disappointed the fans since the very first days. I have never heard anyone saying that Raven betrayed their roots or something like that. How to maintain integrity?
It gets difficult sometimes. I mean, we got pushed to be a little more commercial when we were in America because we came over in the 80s and we had no money. We were being, kept a very small amount of money by the railroad company. And, it wasn't as if we were back home and if things went bad, we would go back to mum and dad's. We were out there. Boom. We pulled up all ties and 1984 just said, we're going to America and we're going to make it happen one way or another. So sometimes you just have to do that. But I mean, we've, especially at that point, relationships, marriages, whatever jobs were happening at the time, all that went boom. And we knew we had to do what we had to do. And sometimes that's the difference between a band. Sometimes it's the difference between a band doing well or not doing well. It's like, will they make those hard decisions? When logically it makes no sense.
John, a great friend of mine, his name is Valnio Borba. I think he's watching us right now. Valnio Borba. Greetings for my friend Valnio Borba. I think he's one of the greatest fans of the Raven in Brazil. He would like to know if they stay hard and the Pack is Back records. I think these both albums were made especially for to USA market. Yeah,
Especially the Packers Back was definitely.
Pack is
Stay
Back.
Hard was pretty much a natural progression from All for One. The sound is a little different, but a lot of those songs could have fit on one or the other. Songs like On and On, Extract the Action, When the Going Gets Tough, those kind of songs, definitely. The Pack is Back, I mean, the concept was a high tech heavy metal album. And there was a lot of commercial influences flying in there. And it's a big part of what we do, but it has to be balanced by the crazy and by the noisy. It's a strange balancing act to get the Raven sound, and that was just too melodic, too nice, too commercial. And we did the record. We weren't 100% happy with it, and the record company got what they wanted and did nothing with it. And we all looked at each other like we've been played for fools here. So from then on, we just said, you know what? We don't care. We're just going to do what we want. So we did the Mad EP, which was for us to go out and tour with Twisted Sister. and they'd just done Come Out and Play, which was their big super commercial record, which failed.
Yeah.
And we went on tour with Judas Priest when they had Turbo, their big super commercial record. So this
Yeah.
wasn't just us. This was the record companies pushing for money from all these bands. Same thing happened to Saxon. You know, you could even argue the same thing happened to Metallica once with the grunge thing. Once it got the Load records. So at any level, it's very difficult sometimes to deal with people at a record company who don't care artistically. They only care about money. So we basically threw the money part out the window and just said, we're going to do what pleases us and have done for like the last 35, 40 years at this point.
Yeah. John, there is a popular saying in Brazil that in English is something like if at 20 years of age you set fire, at 40 you become a firefighter. You know what I mean? It's a popular saying. Does this not apply to Raven? Because the newest album, is still fast and has a lot of energy. Yeah, it's a good album. Congratulations for that. Is the newest, okay? And this Brazilian popular saying didn't don't doesn't apply to Raven.
No, does not apply. We're still starting fires. We're little pyromaniacs, is what we are, definitely. No, it's some bands they slow down, the sounds get a little nicer, they play a little quieter. No, it's up, and it will continue to do so. We knew we had a great record with this when we'd written the songs, and then we got Mike Heller in on drums, and he took it to another level. And then we went in with Michael Wagner, it went up another level again. And, we're just so happy with the way it came out. And right now, our brains are on the next one because we've got like 30 songs written for the next record, which are even more intense and more in your face and some great stuff. So we're excited to get that done too.
Yeah, it's I like it so much. This album is a great album. Okay.
Yeah, we were very upset we couldn't tour because of the pandemic, but we just played Belgium like 3 weeks ago. And that was the first time we played The Power. We played a new song off the album then. That was a lot of fun. And we're going out on tour in America next month, the end of October, for about, I don't know, about 30 dates or something. So it's getting there, and hopefully once this nonsense is over we can come back to South America and
Yeah.
visit our Brazilian lunatics. We'd love to do that.
Yeah. What do you remember about the shows in Brazil? The great
Oh,
shows in Brazil.
so good. I mean, especially the first time we had no idea what was going to go on, and it was a really good show for us. The crowd were just so intense, so on it, and they knew all the words and they knew all the songs. And I especially remember at the end, we were going to sign autographs, and we usually come out and sign autographs. And it was crazy. We were out there for like nearly 4 hours, and we were in the streets, and people were pushing us, and it was like kind of scary. It was like, whoa, 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 one at a time. We'll get to everybody, because we love meeting the fans and talking and signing stuff. But that was like the most intense version of that we'd ever done. And at one point, I thought we were going to get knocked on the floor and trampled. It was like, whoa. But every time we've been back, it's been great. It really has.
Great. And this friend, Valnio Borba, was there, and he take a lot of pictures with you. He's a great fan of you. And John, I make a series of videos called "Explaining Metallica" in this channel. where I tell stories behind all the music and lyrics of the band. And Raven taking the first tour of Metallica, the Kill and All for one tour. What are your main memories of that tour with the guys of Metallica?
Well, it was, we'd been to America in 1982 and done like 5 or 6 dates, which was great. And Johnny Z was, let's come over in 1983 and we'll do a Raven headlining tour. Let's do that. So, corresponding with him back and forth about an opening band. And he says, I've got the biggest band in San Francisco to open for you guys. And we're like, no. The biggest band in San Francisco is Journey or Y&T or Sammy Hagar. I said, no, no, no. He goes, no, Metallica. And we're like, who? Never heard of them. So we get a tape of No Life Till Leather. And I'm like, is this on the right speed? Like, super fast. Like, oh, these guys are good. They sound like a crazy version of Motorhead. This is good. So we got there, we met them, we all got on really well, and it was just a crazy tour. It was like guerrilla warfare. No one had done a metal tour like that. This was like punk rock. Just go out and, there was one Winnebago motorhome that held like 6 people, but it had 17 people on it. It's just crazy. And the word was out, and in certain places the word wasn't out, and people just came out and they were, what is this? Both bands, we did our thing, and it really helped spark a fire in America. I really think it did. A lot of bands either started or got very heavily influenced by seeing both of Raven and Metallica on that tour.
And James Hetfield was a shy guy before touring with Raven, and then with Venom.
Yeah. All James did was smile and drink beer. Usually, he'd come out with the occasional joke. Lars was Lars. Lars has never changed. He's always looking for the angle, listening, trying to find, learning. Smart guy, very smart guy. Kirk was just a more verbal version of James. He's happy all the time. He'd talk, And Cliff was like an old man on young shoulders, they say in England, an old soul, And he was a great musician. We'd sit and talk music, play bass guitars off each other, and he was cool. He was just cool, He wore the same pair of jeans for 6 weeks. One patch said Rush, and the other patch said, I don't know, Blue Oyster Cult or something.
Great. And I think that two guys exercised strongly influence in James Hetfield. Kronos, because I think that James Hetfield watched every single night Kronos talking to the audience and saying the way to walk on the stage, and Kronos was a great influence for him. And I think that James Hetfield, listening to you every single night, the way you talk to the audience, the way you listen to the audience and walk into the
I think
stage.
so. They watched often, and you could tell by the end of the tour, James was he was an awful lot more confident, I mean, there was a show in Oklahoma that we played. Have you ever seen the movie The Blues Brothers, where they have the country and western club with the chicken wire and they're all throwing stuff at the band? There was a club like that in Oklahoma, and Metallica went on and the people were throwing stuff at them. And Metallica were like, oh, hey, finish, get off, And then we came on and we were like, yeah, come on, more, bring it on. And I'd jump on the tables and kick their beer over, and this is all you got? Come on. And they loved it, and they'd throw more stuff. So I think that
Great.
show as well, that was a case of them saying, oh, you got to give it back. You can't hide. You can't be weak. You've got to go all out. Because we used to play to punk rockers and we used to play to the working men's clubs in the Northeast. And if they didn't like you, they'd hate you. So you had to, push their buttons and either make them like you or just make them hate you even more, but get a reaction. So, yeah, I think they learned a little from that. They picked up, they said they really liked the way we did the All for One album, which was a progression of sorts from Wiped Out, but it was still had integrity. And they said they wanted to do that with their next record, which they did. They did Ride the Lightning. So
Okay. This album you said
yeah, that
about the
one
All
there,
for
that's the
One,
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
masterpiece. This is a masterpiece. And John, about Metallica, what's your favorite Metallica album? Just a curiosity for me.
Ooh, it's tough. Uh, Favorites. I like not all of them totally, but I like Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and even though I hate the sound, I like a lot of the songs on Justice. I like some of the arrangements. So the arrangements are, it's too long, it's too crazy, but there's some really good music in there. And I think that's when James was really starting to find his voice as a singer. Where, I mean, I know a lot of the fans love the early stuff where he's just barking away there, but he was really, really learning to sing correctly, as it were, like on songs like One and stuff like that.
And John, have you listened to Iron Maiden's brand new album, Senjutsu?
I've heard some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've listened through to some of it.
Did you like it?
People are going to hate me here, but I'm a bass player, and I think
Yeah.
Steve's great, but his sound drives me crazy. The click. All I hear is the click all the time. Clickety clickety clack, clackety clickety click. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I saw Iron Maiden in 2016 at a festival in Belgium, and the sound man dialed out all the click, and it was the best Iron Maiden I've ever heard. They were excellent. They were so good. So that's just me. That's not my thing. But I think some of the songs are really good. The ones I've heard, they're really good. It's I think it sounds a little better than the last album, the Book of Souls, which was pretty good. It was better than the ones before that. So there's another case of a band at the top of their game, still putting out great music. And the thing is, people can criticize. A lot of people criticize Iron Maiden. Oh, they don't do this. They don't. Iron
Yeah.
Maiden is pretty much the biggest metal band in the world. And when Iron Maiden puts a record out, it's great for everybody in heavy metal.
Yeah.
Brings it up for everyone. The profile, it's just like, so it's good. I'm happy they've got a new record out, and the bits I've heard is great. There's some really good guitar solos. Adrian's so good. I love it.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Some people say that nowadays Iron Maiden composes more progressive songs because they are older, but I don't think that. I think it's the sound that pleases them,
Yeah,
not
they
because of
do
their
they do
age.
what they like. I mean, would would it be personally if they had someone in there that goes, no, you're not going to play that again for the next 4 minutes because it's too much. A little bit of editing, make it more powerful, maybe. I don't know. But you know what? Iron Maiden loves it and the fans love it. So, they can say go to hell to everybody and do their own thing. And that's cool. That's great.
Yeah, and Raven uh, still keeping making the athletic rock, yeah,
Yeah, I
faster
mean,
and
this new
full of
record is
energy.
just, full of speed and power, but there's variety in there too, you know. We even get a little progressive here and there. The middle of human race is totally, whoa, what's this? This is different, you know. So we had fun with that. It's good pushing and putting some new stuff in here and there, you know. So you have one foot in the history, you know, and then the other foot's exploring. So, you know, you don't want to make the same album over and over again. You want to try and, it's difficult, but you want to try and keep your integrity and your identity as a band, but you continually, as an artist, want to try and do better and do new stuff, you know.
Yeah. And what bands or artists are you listening to currently?
I'm being very sadly stuck on listening to Raven because I've been writing and writing and writing. And when I'm writing, I try not to get overly influenced. Literally, the only thing I've heard recently was the Iron Maiden record, the Dee Verney single that he put out, which sounds like rockabilly, which was hilarious. I love it. So other than that, when I'm listening to music, it's my old favorites. I'm listening to Slade, I'm listening to Yes, I'm listening to Tori Amos, I'm listening to Status Quo the other day. So, you know,
Okay.
if I
And
listen to that, I'm not going to get overly influenced because it's already in my brain already, you know.
I got it. I got it. Yeah. A great Raven fan. His name is Alexandre Fonseca. Greetings from for Alexandre Fonseca. Asks if there are plans for Raven to return to Brazil as soon as possible.
As
Of
soon as
course, because the
possible.
pandemic. Yeah.
It's all due to pandemic. If it wasn't for pandemic, we'd be there now, you know. So yeah, as soon as things get sorted out. I mean, I have the same conversation with people in Australia, and you know how bad it's going there is right now as well. And it's like as soon as this is cleared up, you know, we hope that it will clear
Okay.
up and we'll get round. So we're very excited to be touring America, like I said, starting October 20th. And we plan to tour Europe in February again, if all works well, you know. If we're not all in the gulag by then, we'll see. And we go from there. If you know the world starts opening up, we've got people to meet and places to play. We have to travel. We'll be looking forward to doing it. Absolutely.
Okay. John, let me greet the audience that is watching us right now. Valnio Borba, greetings, Valnio Borba, and good afternoon, John. One of the main bands of new wave of British heavy metal. Okay, thank you, Valnio. Mark Ostervik. Hello, good evening from the Netherlands. Hi, John. It's Mark Ostervik.
Hi, Mark. Hi to Gwen.
Yeah,
Good
and
old friend of ours, definitely.
yeah, from Netherlands. And Mark said, seen them first time in 1982 over the Brugge Gouda, Netherlands. I think that is correct.
And if
Thank
you
you,
go
Mark.
on YouTube, look for Raven Holland 1982, you can actually watch a video of that show.
Great.
It looks like transmissions from Venus, but you can see it. It's right there.
Yeah, it's I think. And Dario Portela, excellent interview. Congratulations for us. Okay, thank you, Dario Portela. Sergio Modolo, hi guys, hi John. Okay, great interview, said Mark Ostervik. Thank you for the audience. And John, once again, thank you so much for accepting my invitation. You're a great guy.
Absolutely.
You know,
My pleasure.
I,
My pleasure.
yeah, thank you so much. And feel free to leave a message to the Brazilian fans or the fans of
Oh,
around the
absolutely.
world.
Yeah, to Brazilian fans and whoever else is watching too. You know, as usual, thanks everyone for all the support from all the years, for God's sake. We, like I say, we just played Belgium 3 weeks ago. It was kick ass. Look it up, Alcatraz Festival on YouTube. The whole show is up there, and it's pretty wild. It's out there, and we can't wait to get back on the road. We've got all kinds of things coming up. We're planning another covers album. We're going to do another studio album. Have all the songs written. There's some killer songs. And tour. As soon as it opens up, absolutely. So we hope to see our Brazilian nutcases, the Lunatics, very, very soon.
Once again, thank you so much. I am great fan of you. I'm glad to talk to you. And as soon as possible, I hope to see you in Brazil, in São Paulo. Thank you so much.
Yay.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You're a great guy.